Um, we're here today to talk about the art of bodybuilding, the sport of bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is both a sport and an art because it includes both of those things. And today we want to look briefly at the art of posing. Posing being an adagio type of dance in its original form that's done on the stage to display the physique. There's good posing and there's bad posing, and then there's running across the stage. So we're going to kind of address both of those today and see what we come up with. We have two incredible panelists um, here today. They're going to introduce themselves as we go through. And I guess, Brother Phil, you want to pick it up from here?
Yes, hi. My name is Philip Triple. I've been bodybuilding since 1997. So I've been in the game for a while. And one thing I have learned, actually, I learned through Dr. Brown, is that you can have the best physique in the world, but if you can't show it on stage, it don't means nothing. Somebody with inferior physique could actually beat you if you don't have the right posing routine to go along with your physique. So posing is extremely important because you got to be able to show the judges what you have. So that's why on June 22nd, we're doing a posing seminar that break down exactly each posing, how to do it, the stage presentation. And also you want to be able to pose and not look like it's hard. Judges peep that too when you're on stage and it look like it's hard for every you do thing. You want to make it look like it's easy and it's simple. And that's come from practice, practice, practice. And that's what we want to show you on June 22nd, the ins and outs of posing and how to present yourself properly.
Speaking of posing, practicing, how often should you practice?
Every day.
Every
Every
day?
day. Yeah, every day. Because the thing about it is that you got to get your mind in tune with your body part, and that don't come
Uh-huh.
overnight. That just comes from posing constantly, constantly, where you be able to pose when they call out a certain posing, movement. You be able to do it without thinking about it. And once you get to that point, then it become easy. But up to that point, it's not going to be easy, and it may look hard. So the only way to counter out that is by posing, posing, posing. So I would say every day, you should do that.
Tammy, what do you think?
I agree. I'm Tammy Ellis, and I don't have as much as experience as Phil and obviously Dr. Brown, but I have to say that Dr. Brown introduced me into the sport of bodybuilding and sent me directly to Diamond Gym in 2004. And I learned really quickly that if you don't pose well, then you have wasted your time almost in the gym because the posing basically highlights what you've done in the gym. So you can't show off your physique if you don't pose well. You can go out there, and we've discussed this on occasions, and be better than the person that's next to you, arguably be the best person in the top five. But if you don't present it properly, then you've lost. So posing is everything. And so, as Phil said, and as we will highlight on this flyer on June 22nd, we're going to show you how to do that. You don't want to waste your time in the gym and work hard and diet well and get your body in tip top shape. And when it comes down to it and you're on the stage, you can't play. So posing is absolutely everything. And I totally agree that if you don't do it on a regular basis, if you don't practice it all the time, then you're gonna fail typically. So we want to definitely highlight on June 22nd the art of doing it to make it look effortlessly and to make it look pretty, because that's going to stand out in the judges eyes. They're going to catch the person that has the most flair, swagger, so to speak. um, as Doc was saying, it's not a dance. You're not running across the stage, but you're really, really locking and loading on the best features of your body. And on the 22nd of June, we're gonna make sure that everyone understands that.
Posing, practicing every day, does that entail or begin to develop mind muscle connection?
Yes, it do. It also give a mind connection to your muscle when you're training too,
Mhm.
because some people when they train in the gym, they just doing the movement, but they're not actually thinking about the exact body part that they're training. So it actually a connection from your mind to each different body part, that when you're training, you're thinking about that body part. So you really actually working it extra hard, by your mentality, knowing that body part what it do. And once you accomplish that, when you're on stage, it's the same thing. When they call holler out a certain pose, you do that, and you know that body part that you're in tune with to move a certain way or to flex a certain way. That what you call mind muscle control.
Okay. All right. Um, Speaking of highlighting a certain pose, you just said, Phil, when the judge calls out a pose. Now, there are different poses for different categories. Is that right? All right.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. We have some traditional categories, such as bodybuilding, um, versus newer categories, uh, men's physique, which is like really different, and then some things in between, like classic physique. Okay, and the poses are different in each category. Um, Tammy, can you tell us about men's physique?
Yeah, so the men's physique body is more geared to, guys that have, a good core. Core is, the foundation of all bodybuilders. So men's physique, typically have good core, good upper body, a good upper body look. Legs maybe a little bit underdeveloped, not necessarily, but that's typically, so it's more like a beach style look. So with the posing for men's physique, they're not hitting, the mandatory front double bicep shots or, the traditional bodybuilding poses. They're just basically presenting their body, their symmetry in a front stance and a rear stance. So it's only two poses. They're of course, they're showing their lats, their chest, their core, their shoulders, biceps, and what have you in their front pose. When they turn to the rear, they're demonstrating, they're showing their lats and their shoulders and, their lower back, which is a part of the core, and their calves because the shorts are longer in a back pose. So it's very it's when men's physique first started out, I think a lot of guys were doing kind of like a swaggy type movement. It's not about that. It's just basically presenting the body in a front pose that shows everything from the front,
Mhm.
and then a back pose showing what you have from the back.
Okay, because I've been working on it and working on it, and I just seem to get that flair. So I thought you had to have all of those arm things going on, um, and a pseudo bicep shot in there. Uh,
Um,
I wasn't ever clear. So it's just a front pose and a
yeah,
back pose, and
yeah,
everything else is extra.
Mhm.
yes,
Uh,
exactly. So physique, you'll see the guys, they're just kind of like have their hands highlighting, the front off on an angle, so everything's symmetry. So off on an angle. And then when they turn to the rear, it's the same kind of thing. You just kind of like spike your calf back and you show your back pose.
all right. Phil, tell us about bodybuilding versus physique.
Well, with bodybuilding, that's overall posing. With bodybuilding, you're going to work. You're not just going to do two poses and that's it. That's why, of course, I'm a fan of bodybuilding. That's the only thing I did, and that's the only thing I know. So with bodybuilding, they basically going to call out a lot of different poses, starting off with your relaxed stance and then your quarter turns, where they just want to see you set up. And then they start, yelling different poses like front double by, lat spread, side chest. Then they turn you around, do rear double by. So you have your work cut out for you with bodybuilding. With men physique, like I said earlier, you want to practice every day, but with men physique, you really don't have to practice every day. But if you're going to be in the bodybuilding category, yeah, that you need to practice every day because you're dealing with multiple poses and you have to hold it a certain way and not look tired. And I tell people all the time, posing is actually much harder than training itself. You think training is something? No, posing is way different animal. So you want to practice every day. And like I said, they judge you from head to toe. They saying all different kinds of poses that you got to be able to remember. You don't want to look like no fool. You don't want to do. They say a quarter turn, you turn the other way. I seen people do that. I seen people face the back when they're supposed to face the front. So you want to make sure you got your act and together tight. That's why it's important. If you're serious, it's important that you come down June 22nd, so we could go over each different pose, so you could look like you've been doing this for a while, stage, not a novice.
Well, you heard it right here, folks, that Phil is partial to bodybuilding, and he said only the bodybuilders have to practice every day. But I'm going to fight him on that one and say everybody must
Every,
practice every day.
Yeah, that is true. That is
All
true.
right. Classic, and all the other categories. Um, Tammy, real quick, does this bikini have to hit a double bicep shot or a lat spread? Is that what they do? What do they do?
they could if they want to, but I think that'd be a big mistake. Actually, I laugh about that because my bikini competitors, I always make them do front double bicep shots just to see what kind of muscle they develop. But obviously, for the stage, that is definitely not what they're doing. Bikini is very similar. Well, it's the female category of men's physique.
Uh,
They're two poses and only two poses: a front pose and a rear pose. However, with bikini, what's different from men's physique is that bikini girls do a transition that they have taken away basically from men's physique. Men's physique started out with the little flare, swagger hand thing, and that was kind of like a no-no, and so we're not we don't have to be subjected to watching the men do this flary thing with their arm, which is great. However, with bikini, there is a transition. So there's a transition for the girls to go from that front to that rear pose. And they also do a walk. So they do a walk to get to the rear pose. So, a few steps, based on the size of the stage, they will walk, with good swagger, with sex appeal, keeping their core in and basically arch back so that you're highlighting your glutes and your hamstrings. And I call it walking in a clutch. I call it the clutch walk. I panned a thing that's called pop the clutch. So that they're popped in position where they got their hips shifted back. Of course, everything's through your lower back, and you're feeling that lower back, and you're popping your booty as you're walking.
uh-huh.
So this is where the judges, typically pick up that pen or that pencil, and they start scoring when you get to that back pose for a bikini girl. So they're watching the walk and they're watching that back pose because now they're looking at the glutes and the hamstrings, how that ties in. And they don't judge your back. They don't judge the back of a bikini girl, but they do judge the roundness of her shoulder. So that's what the posing is for bikini. So that walk is extremely important. Your sex appeal is important, and hitting those two shots with nice flow and transition and arm movement is important in bikini. Figure is different. Figure is more symmetry based. So you have to have every body part in order for symmetry. Just like a bodybuilder, but you're not hitting the mandatory shots. As a bodybuilder, you're standing up in your front stance and you are doing quarter turn stuff. So they want to see you how you look from the front, how you look from the side, each side shot, and how you look from the rear, obviously, for figure. So those are the differences. Women's physique and bodybuilding women, they're of course they're doing what the men are doing. They're hitting those mandatory shots, those extremely important mandatory shots. So that's important. But there is also, and I'm taking a little bit more time because I have a hard stop on the camera. So let me just say this, which I think this is going to be important. The new category of wellness is important because it's similar to bikini, but it's like bikini girls with a bit more, volume downstairs. So bigger legs, tighter, bigger glutes, perhaps, and kind of like the same swagger as bikini, a bit more, it looks a bit more sexier because they got, more bang for the buck at the bottom.
Hey,
I think that might be one of my favorite categories, actually.
We knew that. We knew that, Phil. Right. So I consider, and me too, I really feel that wellness is the best of both worlds because, of course, you have the muscle, you have more muscle in wellness than you would in bikini, all the way around. Up top, you don't have to be big up top, though. So it's more, if you look at it, it's a little bit as described by someone that's been a master in the sport. He described it as a category that symmetry doesn't matter because you're smaller up top than you are at the bottom. So you're almost a bit, bottom heavy for wellness.
yes.
Yeah.
Also, I want to interject on the wellness category. Also, it's to help a lot of ladies because before the wellness category came out, it was females that was in the gym training that looked great. It just that they had a little bit more things going on down below. So if they was going to do bodybuilding, they would have to sacrifice so much weight to come down to
Yep.
get that really crisp hard. It just wasn't worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And it would mess lots of time would mess up the whole symmetry and everything. It was too much as a sacrifice. So that category is for a lot of ladies that's in shape, but still have to come down so much to be crisp. With this, they don't have to. They just can show how great shape they are and still keep certain things down below, so they
Right.
don't have to make that sacrifice. I
Yeah.
think it's a name they call girls like that. I can't think of it, but it's a certain name that these girls call themselves. That's actually thick, fit chick. That's what they call themselves, thick, fit chick.
Okay.
So that's basically category for ladies like that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
All right. Well, folks, you've heard it right here today. Um, we want to see you on June 22nd at 457 Roxborough Avenue in the beautiful city of Philadelphia. You can also find out more information at www.wpfusa.com. And so we want to thank our panelists for this brief discussion. We don't want to give it all away today, okay?
Right.
So we're looking for you at 10 a.m. on June 22nd, um, 2024 at 457 Roxborough Avenue in the city of Philadelphia. Thanks very much. We'll see you then.